Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we will be looking at the rules of isti'adha and basmala. Isti'adha is the name of Auzubillah minash shaitanir rajim, and basmala, so isti'adha, Auzubillah minash shaitanir rajim. Basmala, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. These are just names of Auzubillah and Bismillah. There is another name for Auzubillah which is Ta'awudh and Tasmiyah. So they have a few names. And we will be looking at the rule of how to recite Auzubillah and Bismillah at the beginning of a surah. There are 4 different ways of reciting Auzubillah and Bismillah before starting a surah. So we will go over those rules. The 4 rules which we will be focusing on is number 1, wasl kul. Wasl means to join together. Wasl means to recite together. Recite together. Fasl means to recite separately. Okay, so the first rule is wasl kul. That's how it looks in Arabic. Wasl kul. To join, kul means everything. So reciting together everything, i.e. reciting everything together. So the Auzubillah and the Bismillah and the beginning of the surah will be recited together without a pause. This is how wasl kul will be performed. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين. So as you can hear and see, I have recited أعوذ بالله and Bismillah and Alhamdulillah, the beginning of Surah Al-Fatiha, together without any pauses. What you need to bear in mind is how I joined the end of Rahim with the beginning of Alhamdu. So I'll do this again. This is wasl kul, recitation of all of it together, reciting all of it together. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين. Okay, now let's look at the second rule, which is wasl awwal and fasl thani. Wasl again means reciting together. Awwal means the first part. So, i.e., the first part, reciting together the first part would be reciting Auzubillah and Bismillah together. And fasl, we talked about that before. Fasl means reciting it separately. Thani means the second bit. So reciting separately the second bit. The second bit would be considered as the first part of the surah. So wasl awwal, the first bit, needs to be recited together, and the second bit needs to be recited separately. This is the example. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين. So I recited أعوذ بالله and Bismillah together without a pause, and then I paused at the end of Bismillah, took a breath, and then I recited the beginning of the surah separately. That is known as wasl awwal, fasl thani. Okay, the third method and the third rule of reciting is called fasl awwal. So reciting awwal, again the first bit, so reciting the first bit separately. So that would mean reciting A'udhu Billah separately, because that's the first bit. And then wasl thani, reciting together the second bit. So reciting together Bismillah and Suratul Fatiha. Let's see how that sounds. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين. Okay, and the last rule, rule number 4, is called fasl kul. Fasl means reciting separately. The word kul means everything. So reciting everything separately. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Okay, so I recited the isti'adha separately. I took a breath at the end, and then I recited the basmala separately, taking a breath at the end, and then the beginning of the surah separately. I'll do that one more time. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين. And that method is called fasl kul. Those are the 4 rules of how to recite Auzubillah and Bismillah at the beginning of a surah. All 4 methods are permissible. You can do it in any way you like. You can do wasl kul, or you can do wasl awwal, fasl thani, or you can do number 3, fasl awwal, wasl thani, or number 4, fasl kul. All 4 methods are permissible. I am going to do a separate video on how to recite Auzubillah and Bismillah in the middle of a surah, and also a separate video on how to recite Auzubillah at the end of a surah, and how to start a new surah with Bismillah in the middle. So at the end of surah, finishing the surah off, reciting Bismillah, and then beginning a new surah. That will be a separate video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.